In the midst of all the chaos that is before us, we must remember to still hope, dream, and envision empowering possibilities. Now, I know that many of us are still worried about what the loss of Justice Ginsburg means for the future of America. And there are many of us who are indignant about the miscarriage of justice surrounding the murder of Breonna Taylor. But in the midst of this year of endless challenges and disappointments, we must keep our eyes on the prize of change. We must exercise resilience and dare the audacity of hope. That is how we can love ourselves and one another. So let's love by being courageous, by continuing to dream, and by standing for the things we believe in, and by voting. And that's a perfect segue to saying hello to the woman who has taught us so much about love, courage, and hope over the years, my sister friend, Iyanla Vanzant.
Hello, deep down, Miss Tina. How are you?
I am so very well, Iyanla. How are you?
I am so good. I'm good. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm
what
excited.
Has you excited?
That the taxes have been released.
Oh my gosh! I actually
occupants' taxes have been released. Yeah, baby.
That's news to me. When did that happen?
Well, the New York Times got a copy of them. And they're saying that in 2016, the year the occupant went into the White House built by Black people, that he only paid $750 in taxes.
$750 in taxes.
Now,
wow.
I paid 45 times that much. So.
Yes. Now, does he, there's just so much to dig into.
Listen, I'm right in the corners of my mouth.
Yes, I hear you. Because I want to know, are the Russian connections there in his tax returns? I want to know, is he as wealthy as he claims to be? I bet you.
But here's the thing, and this is what I want everybody to get. That's just, I don't even know what you call it. Here's the thing that we need to understand. They have stacked the courts. The Supreme Court is one thing. And I had to really pray about it and ask, why is nobody calling this boy on his stuff? Why? Because they have benefited and will continue to benefit from the fact that the courts are stacked, the appellate courts. So when you have a trial and something happens in business or in whatever, estates, in land taxes or whatever, the appellate court is stacked. So if you want to appeal, it's going up the ladder and, it's meeting with all of this. And that's what they're trying to do with the Ginsburg seat. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But
and when you bring that up, we're talking about the long view that Republicans have historically taken. Because that kind of stacking was being put in place before Trump.
Yes.
And it is just so important for us in our everyday lives and in our society to be aware of how important it is to have an intention and then to start stacking your life for your intention, because people are making moves about your life. That's right. If you're not paying attention, then you're just going to wind up living the life that they hand you.
Well, this is what I know. I don't know about nobody else. I work for God Incorporated.
Absolutely.
And they may mean it for evil, but God means it for good. And so I want to encourage everybody to get in right relationship with your Creator and you'll be able to walk between the raindrops. That's what I'm going for. I'm trying to learn how to walk between the raindrops. It can pour down rain and I ain't even going to get wet. They may mean it for evil, but God means it for good. But I tell you, to watch it unfold, I find it quite amusing. You know, my only concern is, the people who are hungry. That breaks my heart.
Well, that's a big concern because there are a lot of hungry people out there.
The number of people who are hungry.
The number of people who are under the
addicted. And I don't know what to do anymore. I've given to every food bank, I can't move the people in with me. So this voting thing, and then not only do we need to vote, hopefully to change the guard, but then we've got to have a clear ask and stay on the people who get in if this guard is changed. We can't just vote and then run away. We got to have a clear ask. I tell you, I have written so many letters. They're going to put me on I don't even know what the list is. Here come this crazy woman again. I have written everybody. I've written Republicans, Democrats, Independents, the Green people. Listen.
That's
but we have to stay on them because we think it's just about voting. Voting is one thing. But then it's about stay on them, stay on them, stay on. How many people wrote letters about this Breonna Taylor thing? How many people have written letters to their representatives saying, don't let them have the seat? What we got to do? I even thought the other day, I said, I'm going to put a petition online and let people in every state sign up. But you know why I didn't do it? Because people are so mean and so crazy. I want to be able to walk out my front door. So I don't want
a thought that did cross my mind, Iyanla, that I'll throw out here. I have no idea how to make this happen, but I swear it would be so good, and all of you love ambassadors out there, listen up, if we put 30 days of prayer on our calendar. So
Psalm 39, Psalm 37, fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious of workers of iniquity. Yes, Psalm 37.
I love you. I just love you.
Get in Psalm 37 and then call their names. Every line you read, call another name. Call another name.
Yes.
Get in Psalm 31. Psalm 31. He who abides under the shadow of the Almighty. Okay? Get in there. And because we don't understand the power of our minds. If we would just send that energy out, we would start breaking up these particles of darkness.
That's exactly right.
Let me
That's exactly right.
We need
That's
to put
exactly
that.
right.
We need y'all pray 30 days. Get in Psalm 31.
Reach out and create a prayer circle with people that you know and in your family or friends. Prayer works, you know.
Let me call attendance here.
Go ahead.
We got to guess, and we having our own show. Hi, Atlanta. Hi, Alabama, Cincinnati. How you doing, Brooklyn, Jamaica, St. Croix, Sacramento, Harlem's in the house. Yeah. Look, LA is in the house. Miami, Mississippi, Kansas City, the boogie down Bronx. Come on, y'all praying up in the Bronx. Philly's in the house. Ellenwood, Georgia's in the house. Albany, New York is here. Hola, ¿cómo está? Reverend Rosetta, how you doing? All my spiritual warriors, deep bow to you. Statesboro, Ohio, Akron, Ohio. Oh, Ohio's in the house. Brooklyn, the BK, NOLA's in the house. Lorton, Virginia. I used to go to the prison in Lorton and do groups with the men. I think they closed the men's side down. San Francisco, Charlotte is in the house. St. Louis is in the house. Memphis is in the house. Delaware's in the house. What's that? Coram. I don't know no Coram, New York. But anyway, they in the house. Swift on a number tribe. Come on, somebody. Alabama, Flatbush. I wish I could go. You know what? Let me tell you something. This is so funny. The other day, I'm at home. We're working on the show. And I kept having these flashbacks. Like of driving to my house and the market I shop in, and then I saw like trees and stuff. I said, oh God, am I getting ready to die? What's happening? I'm having all these flashbacks. Why am I? And then I would smell the grass and I said, okay, if I'm getting ready to die, my soul is right. And then I heard in my head, no fool, you just homesick.
Because you're in Atlanta still working, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I said,
Okay.
okay,
you
I'm just
were
homesick.
missing
I'm
the
getting ready
smells
to
of your
die.
yeah. You were missing the smells of your backyard and your
Yeah. So let me
yeah.
say hi to Flint, Michigan, and Compassion Tribe, cohort number 4, Baton Rouge. Yeah, Bed-Stuy, do or die, Bed-Stuy. Come on, I'm coming over to Fulton Street and get me a roti. Yes, so we got the gang is all here. We got a nice
That's
number for our
beautiful.
beautiful guest tonight. Yes,
Yeah.
hi Shirley from Detroit. How you doing?
Well, it is wonderful to have you all show up, and you met her just a little bit in our pre-roll to the show. But at 22 years old, Lauren Simmons shattered the glass ceiling and made history by being the youngest and only full-time female equity trader on Wall Street for Rosenblatt Securities. Affectionately called the Wolfette of Wall Street, Simmons was also the second African American woman in history to hold the prestigious title. Since her story broke, Lauren has been featured in various media outlets, including Harper's Bazaar, Yahoo Finance, Forbes, Politico, CNBC, and The Cut. Currently, Lauren is executive producing her own biopic at AGC Studios with Kiersey Clemens attached to star. What an exciting time to be a young woman, right, Iyanla?
Oh, I can't take it.
So true. Let's welcome Lauren. Lauren, hello.
Yeah.
Hello. I'm so
there.
happy to be here.
Oh, it's so nice to have you.
Yes,
Thank you.
You do us proud, my beloved. You do us proud. You do
Thank
us
you
proud.
so much.
I was telling you before the show, I said, only thing I know about the stocks is that they go up and down, and I lost my money. I lost my money. And I said, who is responsible for this?
and everyone said, you are.
Yes, yeah.
You are.
What an incredible journey. Now, how long have you been on the floor? When did you sign the book?
I signed the book in 2017. I had passed the Series 19 in March, but we had an official ceremony December of that year. My whole family from Georgia came up. My family from Brooklyn came in. And, you know, I signed the book with the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts. Like, I signed my name into history. It's the most incredible experience I've ever had.
Now, let me ask you this, Lauren. In the morning, we saw in your tape, and I've seen, we've seen it everywhere. In the morning, before it opens, everybody's screaming. What they screaming about?
They're trying to get the quotes on the stocks and what's going on. So if whatever the opening stock price of Apple, they're trying to get that, and that's what they're calling out.
What do you mean they're trying to get it? What do you mean they're trying to get it? They're trying to buy? They're
calling out a number to be able to tell the people inside the booth who are on the phone with our clients. We're on the phone in real time with people in the morning. So we're letting them know what is going on, how certain stocks are going to open. So if Apple, and I'm just throwing out a number, if ABC stock is $19.85, we're saying ABC stock is $19.85, and we're yelling that out so we can be on the phone with the client, the people in the booth, so they could, be able to relay that information to them. And then they say, we want to buy, we want to sell, et cetera, et cetera.
It sounds like a lot of yelling that's unnecessary.
What is it that you love about that? Because you have to love it. First of all, being the only fly in the soup bowl.
Now you're not still on the floor, are you?
No. I left about a year ago. But what I loved about it, I mean, for me, it was my first job out of college. So I just was so eager and hungry to learn any and everything that I could to be good within that role. For me, no, I obviously didn't seek out finding the New York Stock Exchange or entering the world in finance, but whatever job that I was going to go into after I graduated college, I just wanted to be really good at it. So I wanted to learn every and anything that I could about the role and be successful within that role.
Yeah. Wow.
So
What do you do now? What do you do now? You're not necessarily on the floor now. What do you do?
I do a lot. I don't know. It's like hard because when people say, "What do you do?" I'm like, should I go down the laundry list? I mean, I am a multifaceted entrepreneur. I do it all. I'm a film producer. I'm creating my own TV series. I'm a host of a TV series, writing a personal finance book, contributor to CNBC, Yahoo Finance. So I do many.
That's where I saw you. I saw you on CNBC. I was like, oh, look at the little puppy. Look at her.
You actually have a perspective that I find interesting. You in your interview, your pre-interview, it talked about you coming from genetics, that you studied genetics in school, and yet genetics was not really a path for you once you were out of school. And you were talking about how important it is to be flexible and not live a linear life. Tell us more about that.
Okay, I'm trying to think. Where do I start? So yeah, genetics. I chose genetics. I have a brother with cerebral palsy, and for me, I wanted to pretty much impact families the way that doctors had impacted mine growing up. And so I wanted to go on and get my PhD in genetic counseling, which for anyone who doesn't know what that is, essentially where I thought we were in technology, but what they are able to do is we can test both parents to see if a child, their offspring, will have any genetic abnormalities. So we would be able to tell people like, hey, like your child might have Down syndrome. And where I thought we were in technology is we were able to alter DNA so that someone wouldn't be able to live with those genetic abnormalities. Because I know how hard it is to grow up with a family member with disabilities. Turns out altering DNA is illegal, which now I'm thinking that might be appropriate, but I always think that intentions are good. It's people who make them bad. But nonetheless, I ended up moving from Georgia to New York, and I said I would figure it out. I did, because I studied genetics and I had a minor in statistics. I had a lot of math involved. What that actually correlated to look like as far as my career, I had no idea. I kind of was winging it like any other 21-year-old coming out of college. And, you know, but at the same time, just kind of backtracking a little bit, my sophomore year in college, I started meditating. I started journaling. I really followed this practice of, you know, your mind creates your reality, and really putting that into focus after I graduated college. And one of, you know, the most helpful books for me at that time was The Universe Has Your Back by Gabby Bernstein. And, you know, it really is true. Your mind creates your reality. Like, it is absolutely phenomenal, and what we can manifest if we just focus that energy. Yeah. And so when people say, what did that look like? I don't know. I was open to receiving from the universe. I was open to receiving whatever path was meant for me would be for me. And I knew that the right people would be put in my place to help me achieve that. And that's kind of how I made the connection at the New York Stock Exchange. You know, one of the conversations that I had with Richard Rosenblatt, you know, just so awed by me, because there are people like, you didn't study finance, you had no background, no knowledge, and yet you still applied for that position. And while my journey to New York, I had interviewed with a lot of people, I connected with a lot of people, and a lot of people would say, I'm too ambitious, I didn't have any clarity as to what I want to do. Richard Rosenblatt chose me for all those reasons. For all those reasons that people thought were negative, he saw the positive in that. He said, this woman had the audacity to come from Georgia, a woman from the South with no finance background, and apply for a position that she knew nothing about. And maybe I didn't know that I was going to be the only woman, but I knew that I was going to be in a room full of men, and that still didn't stop me from applying for that position. He was like, yes, sold. Yes, you have the job. And that is how I ended up at the New York Stock Exchange.
Well, now you actually, you passed, what is this that you passed? What is it
Series
called?
19. Series 19.
Okay. Okay, so let's be very clear. She passes the Series 19, and you'll tell us what that is, where the pass rate is only 20%. I so want to hear this story because you didn't have a background in finance. Did you study for the Series 19? Tell us about this story.
Of course, yeah. So the Series 19, it's interesting because it's a floor broker New York Stock Exchange in-house exam. So prior to the New York Stock Exchange being public, it was private. And when it was private, the exam was an exam, but essentially, I mean, it's no secret, nepotism is at its finest at the New York Stock Exchange, but they would take this test, but they really wouldn't take it. They would kind of just give the test administrator a pack of beer, or the test administrator would allow them to self-grade their test, and they would pass. Once the New York Stock Exchange became public and the test was now administered under FINRA, FINRA is the finance regulatory system all over all financial exams to be a representative in finance. It was a legitimized exam. No one could cheat their way into it. And the exam, you know, was hard, like 100%. And it was something I had to pass. There were other people in my class who came on the trading floor with me and were, you know, around the same. We were all coming out of college, so we were around the same age. And one in particular, I truly respect him. I do. And, you know, his father is an interesting man, but I do respect his father nonetheless. But in any FINRA exam, anybody who's out there having to take a financial exam, you have 3 times to take the exam. Once you fail it the 3rd time, you either have to wait 6 months to a year before you can take it again. This gentleman took it 3 times. And his father, being who his father is at the New York Stock Exchange, made a stink about the exam being biased, not being a good exam. These questions aren't real questions, whatever. And they were able to magically find points for him to pass this exam.
It's like the bar exam.
Essentially, yes. And then also coming in onto the trading floor, there was another lady who worked upstairs. So we have upstairs and downstairs, and the downstairs is the people that work at the New York Stock Exchange. She had been in finance for over 40 years. She had every FINRA license you could think of. So she was great at her job. My first week coming into the New York Stock Exchange, she takes the exam and she fails. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this lady has every exam out there. If she fails, you know, what am I going to do? But I'm the type of person, the power of positive thinking is everything, right? So I'm not going to look at, okay, how did she fail? How did she get to this point? I'm going to look at, okay, there is a 20% pass rate. Let me put my energy into that and let me focus on that. And I passed. And I just stress this because there are people who are out there that say, oh, you know, equity trading is such an easy position and such, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, all that may be the case. And we are definitely at a point in technology where a lot of the trading we do is passive, and we can just put it into a machine and it does all the numbers and everything. But passing that test is 100% a pass or fail, and that is on the person taking the exam. No one outside of the individual whose dad, you know, whatever. You don't get a freebie to get on the floor. You do have to earn your spot on the trading floor, and I earned mine.
All right.
Well, no, wait a minute. That's right. But I have to read this because as informative as that was, this is pretty exciting. It says, these are your words, I'm told. Everyone thought I was going to fail. When I found out I passed, I didn't scream. I didn't get excited. I just opened the results paper and closed it. And everyone was like, did you pass? And I was like, I did. And there was silence on the trading floor, and you could only hear the machines whirling. Everyone was in shock, and I rang the bell that day.
That's how you do that. That's how you do that.
Exactly. So please walk us through what was happening, if that's accurate, right? Then
Yeah.
what was happening in your mind when you read that you passed? Did you expect that you were going to pass? I know you've just been talking about the power of positive thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And what was behind such a, I won't call it reserve.
Calculated.
The response
Calculated.
was the response calculated? Was your response calculated?
I think it was honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think it was a mixture of emotions. I know when I opened the paper and I saw that I passed, and I didn't even care what the number was. It was a pass, and I was like, I'm going to call my mom. Like, I just want to call my mom. But did I go into the exam thinking I was going to fail? I think for the most part, people know. I think about 80% of the time, people know if they're going to pass or fail, right? Like, if you fully put in the work to study, then you know you're going to pass. So for me, I'm not the loud person who, will say, oh yeah, I'm going to pass. Like, I just rather you see it. I don't need to talk. Silence is way more powerful. And prior to taking that exam, yeah, the men on the floor were openly taking bets that I was going to fail. But it's a 20% pass rate. Like, a majority of people do fail. And so I don't think there was an expectation that I was going to pass, and especially being a woman, because there just aren't there many women on the trading floor. When I was on the floor in 2017, I was the only woman, but it was also this thing of, I don't know, the men on the floor just kind of reducing it down to, it's no way that she can be an attractive woman to pass this exam. Like,
well,
only
an attractive Black woman. How about that?
at that as well, right? So when I passed, yeah, I opened it, and it's 250 men on the floor. Things get passed around very quickly. I think once they saw my face, once I opened it, because everybody was watching me, right? And I didn't look sad. And then someone flat out was like, okay, so did you pass? And I was like, yes. It did shock everybody. It did.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was a proud moment, and it was a moment not for anyone else. It was a moment that I just really wanted to call my mom and say, I did it. I passed. Like, I'm an equity trader. And that's all for me. That was the only important thing for me.
I have another quote of yours that I teach all the time, but I want you to speak to it because people have, well, anyway, you said, I tell people you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yep.
The biggest growth comes from putting yourself in a new environment. Would you please talk to that? Because people of my generation, they eat the same grits with the same spoon, the same time, looking at the same program. They wear the same drawers to the same toilet paper. Please speak about the power of being uncomfortable.
I think people are comfortable being uncomfortable, and like, to go into Pandora's box and what could be behind that is scary. Yeah. But I genuinely believe all the achievements I've ever made, I have had that little internal fear, like, what is it? And it's good fear. Like, this isn't fear that we should be turning away from. It's the unknown is what's the scary part, but it doesn't have to be scary, especially if you were going back to this mindset, thinking that whatever is meant to be for me will be, and these results will end up positive. And even if they end up negative, because I hate the association that's associated with the word negativity. Like, all of this, good, bad, and different, is all a learning lesson. And so would you rather live life always fearful, not taking risk, or would you rather take risk and just see what's out there? Because I think there's just so much world to be learned, and so much of a person that you can grow into by just, going outside of your comfort zone. So for me, yeah, there were a lot of people, most common questions I get, well, how did it feel being a woman? Or how did it feel to be, one of the few Black people to work on the floor? It didn't feel anything. And why? One, because I've been a Black woman since the day I've been born. I didn't just wake up the day before I
Get
came
black
to the
at the
training
stock
course
exchange.
and it's like, whoa, I'm Black. You know, like this is something that I've lived with. I lived with being a woman. I know what that feels like. That has nothing to do with being successful in my job. That has nothing to do with putting myself out there and going on and finding the next big thing. So for me, to get that question, I understand, because a lot of that comes from people's comfort and not wanting to put themselves out there. But these are everyday things. This shouldn't even be like a priority or a focus or even like one of the things that should stop my momentum. I'm a Black woman. Okay, moving on.
You know, I tell my students all the time that if you're getting ready to do something, particularly something new, if you don't have a little pee running down your leg, then it ain't big enough. Whatever the newness needs to scare the pee out you. And then if you don't learn anything else, you'll learn how to show up with pee on your leg and not be distracted by it. So many people, once they feel the pee coming, they run. And I'm saying, no, that's good.
No.
The pee, you know, now you don't want to puddle
That's
in
the breakthrough.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Get some Depends and keep on moving. Tell us about your movie. Tell us about your movie. So we've gone from college and genetics to the stock exchange. Now we're making movies. Somebody talk to me. Come on, girl.
Yes. So I, at the time, while I was still on the floor, had multiple studios reached out. And while I was trying to figure out if I was going to do a TV series or a movie on my life, I had Kiersey Clemens reach out to me personally. Kiersey Clemens and I, over the last 2 years, have actually developed a real relationship. I think we're very similar. And
tell the audience who she is, because I'm sure they do not know.
Oh, well, Kiersey is the best, but she recently just came out with a movie with Janelle Monáe, Antebellum. She's also starred in Dope. We are the same age. She's just as charismatic, fearless, tough. I mean, we definitely are pretty much the same people, honestly. But she reached out to me and she said, Lauren, I want to play you in a movie. Like, she was the first actress to come to me, said, I want to play you in a movie. I want to amplify your voice and to show people a positive Black story and a modern day historical figure.
And what are you, Gen Z? You're a Z, right?
I'm a what?
Are you a Gen Z?
Yeah, no, I'm right at the cuff. So I'm like 1 year older. So I'm like I'm like right on the edge. Okay. And I'm like, yes, you could play me. Absolutely. And once I chose her, I ended up choosing AGC because of Glendon Palmer. Glendon Palmer is absolutely phenomenal. He has been, you know, a mentor to me, has been a person who's really believed in my vision. He's been a soundboard. I can't thank him enough for the things that he has done outside of this movie. He, you know, I won't get too much into it, but he has helped me find my new management team. He has helped me, you know, be able to say, I want a TV series, for it to not sound crazy, for him to say, yes, I want AGC to do this TV series with you. And he, you know, he really believes in me and does it in such a nonchalant way. You know, it's just like, yeah, like, I'm just here to help and wants nothing back. And I think when you have champions and people rallying behind you, it's phenomenal. I'm so grateful for even Richard Rosenblatt, who did the exact same thing. You know, just giving me an opportunity on the trading floor, and he's like, how can I help? When you have people like that, who I say literally will move mountains to make anything happen, you feel so supported and you know that you're on the right path. And I know with Kiersey and Glendon, I'm in great hands.
Here's a question, because you walked away from the stock exchange, right?
Yes.
And sometimes when people have a success of that magnitude, they think that's it. Talk to me about the process of walking away, you know, because I'm getting ready to walk away from a huge success in my life, and people are like, you're crazy, what the? And I'm like, So talk, as a youngin', talk to people about that moment when you say, I may not be finished, but I'm complete here.
Yes, yes, because I think for me, whenever you get into a new role, at least for me, I want to be the dumbest person in the room. I want to learn all that I can. And then once I've done it and I've gotten to a place where I'm comfortable, okay, I need to go on and do something else that's going to light the fire in me, right? And so I knew probably 6 months before I was leaving the trading floor. I think I've always known that I was going to leave the trading floor, if I'm being quite frank, but I knew definitely 6 months before, this is it. And I had a conversation with Richard Rosenblatt. This was at the height of all these stories coming out and everybody wanted to talk about my journey, but I knew it was it. And what I loved so much about Richard Rosenblatt was that he had open arms. He said, well, what is it that you want to do next in your career? How can I help you? And at this time I was thinking I wanted to continue to stay in corporate America, which nothing is wrong with corporate America. But I realized that as I was having these conversations with him and trying to think of the next step, I realized I have a stronger voice and platform by doing something completely different than what was previously done. Yes, I can go on to another job at somewhere and make 6+ figures, but like, what is the impact that I'm doing? How am I educating people? How am I bringing more awareness to bring others who look like me or who are women within the financial industry? And I said, I'm not going to be able to do that going to any other organization. That's going to be something Lauren is going to have to build out, which is how I made that decision. But there are plenty of people, oh, how did you leave the trading floor? If I'm being quite frank, I was only making $23,000 on the trading floor. So it was a very easy decision to say, okay, next step, next chapter of my life, because $23,000 in New York is only enough to breathe. And I just was ready to do something else, honestly. And I'm so happy. The men on the floor may have not gotten it, but Richard Rosenblatt always understood. And he said, yes, how can I do this with open arms? Who can I connect you with? How can we help build out your dream? And that is what I mean, being surrounded and supported by people that will go and do everything to help you accomplish whatever your dreams are.
Yeah.
That is just absolutely beautiful. And so did you know, it sounds like you are building out some sort of financial system or program. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so again, I really wanted to empower the next generation to be financially, well, with overall financial wellness. And finance isn't just finance, it's also the power of the mind as well, and being in a good place. And I read a lot of self-help books. Obviously, I'd say Gabby Bernstein, but Wayne Dyer is one of my favorite, Koya Webb.
Iyanla Vanzant.
Iyanla, yes, of course. But
put them on top of me.
when I was thinking about what was next, it was this mindset of like, how can I help educate and empower the next generation? Again, it wasn't just about the money, and I tell people, as great as it is to get money, and it is, that's only going to be a motivating factor for so long.
That's right.
And then you're going to want to do something that brings you passion. And I truly believe 90% of the time, whatever your passion is, the money will follow.
That's
Sometimes
right.
the passion that you have, the money won't follow, and that's okay. But you're so content and so happy with your passion that it doesn't even matter about the money. And for me,
it's purpose. It's passion plus purpose equal prosperity. So you were on purpose, and you had passion, and you were on purpose, and that's why the prosperity came.
Yep.
Sometimes people are on purpose, but they don't have a passion because they're preoccupied with trying to get the money or trying to turn their purpose into prosperity. And your purpose ain't a job, it's a passion.
No.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I was having actually a conversation with another panel about a week or so ago, and just trying to get more African Americans in the financial industry. And I'm like, listen, I'm not even a person who advocates for like, go out and find a job in finance. Find a job in finance if you feel like that is your passion and your purpose. But if it's not, don't just get a job in finance because you can make 6 figures. That's not going to make you happy. I know many men in finance who make a lot of money and they are the unhappiest people in the world. So do something that you love. If finance is something that you love, then yes, go and do it. But I tell people, yes, get your finances in order. go in finance if you want to go in finance, but I want you to pursue things that make you happy, period. And so I these conversations about diversity and inclusion and how do we get more people of color within the financial industry. Well, one, they let them be curious, because I was curious and I liked it, but just because you're curious does not mean you're going to love it. And that's not what's going to sustain you long term at all.
The other thing is, particularly for us people of color, we have a genetic memory and an ancestral connection to money being a struggle. I mean, our ancestors worked for 400 years for free.
Yes.
That thing has to be cleaned up. That's my work. So that wherever we are, that our money is not tied to what we do. Our money is tied to how we think and how we be. And I think that that's what you're sharing with us. That's so incredible. Your money will be tied to how you think and how you be, and being happy, having joy, having peace is because I made more money at peace than I did when I had 2 jobs.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm curious. It sounds like you went into the stock exchange without any financial backing or financial background, and just being on the floor, being in the environment of money going up and disappearing so quickly. Is that what gave you a passion for finance? And now you're turning that passion into a platform for teaching? Did I get that right?
Yeah. No, essentially it was learning about finance. Like, if you're going to go into finance, I think working at the New York Stock Exchange and learning from the ground floor how the market moves, you learn so much. Would I suggest going to the New York Stock Exchange to work? Not for $20,000, but as a starting platform, I think you can learn so much. And for me, it fascinated me, but it also fascinated me that this isn't a kept secret. This is knowledge that the whole world can have access to, but they don't, because only limited amount of people come to the New York Stock Exchange. And so I wanted to be able to be a resource and give accessibility to the world that is just unfamiliar with everything that happens down there. And that is kind of how I merged the two. Yes, I had a passion. I, again, could have probably gone and continued in corporate America, but it was more about giving the people the knowledge and the resources to make them have better financial wellness overall.
Lauren, tell us 3 things that every average person needs to know about the stock exchange. Just an average person. I know you can lose money. I got that one, but no, don't start there.
Okay. 3 things. Well, as far as investing in the market, if you have fear, that's not your place to be. Fear, period. 2, you will not get rich overnight, because some people seem to think